Hi everyone, I would like to share something with you that I saw posted to Reddit Dog Free yesterday by a user called British CO. This person put together a comprehensive list of reasons why they hate dogs and why other people hate dogs. They collected these items from various threads, and I thought it was a very good list of reasons. I already made a video called Why I Hate Dogs, but I may have left some things out. Anyway, I just thought that this list was very comprehensive and that it deserved a video. This person adds as a disclaimer that some of these reasons are highly subjective, of course, and your experience and opinion may differ. The following list provides an extensive selection of issues which are not necessarily applicable to every dog or owner. Thus, it is inevitable that some generalizations are included due to the broad variety of points. The content is offensive at times, and strong adjectives with a negative connotation appear. So, the first broad area they look at is dogs as a pet. The look and smell of dogs. Dogs are aesthetically not pleasing and generally ugly. Some, of course, may look majestic, but more often than not, they are hideous animals. Actually, some dogs look absolutely atrocious. Dogs often convey a feeling of being lost and confused, which is heavily represented in their movement and facial expression, thus making them look brainless and vacuous. In essence, dead, soulless eyes constantly staring at you. It is noticeable that dogs do tend to smell unpleasant or outright awful. This scent also often permeates through households in which dogs live. There are many reasons as to why dogs generally smell horrible. Often, the fur feels extremely greasy. Dogs tend to lose a lot of fur and it sticks everywhere, be it on furniture, clothes, or areas which need to be hygienic, such as a kitchen or bathroom. A lot of dog breeds do slobber everywhere and leave a disgusting trace of their saliva on everything they touch. Now, when it comes to their behavior, compared to other animals or pets, dogs have a very limited sense of hygiene. They are not naturally inclined to clean themselves compared to other animals such as hamsters or cats. I'm going to add to this. How clean are you getting when you are licking yourself? If a person was able to lick their armpits and their genitals, would you then say they are clean after doing so? Like, no, they're just smearing saliva all over themselves. I digress. This results in the awful stench and unpleasant touch of the animal. Dogs adore to spread their feces everywhere in order to mark their territory, be it in public spots or at home. Well, not only their feces, right? They urinate everywhere. Dogs primarily use their mouths for every sort of interaction. They eat, greet, and interact with everything with their mouths. This is unpleasant, considering that they also tend to eat feces and other trash, resulting in tons of bacteria and junk in their mouth. Still, they greet people or other dogs by licking them. Dogs cannot discern between unhygienic or pleasant items, thus touching everything. They are loud animals and tend to bark a lot. It does vary quite a bit, but it can be universally accepted that dogs are loud and never cease to emit any sort of noise. Constant noises such as scampering, panting, huffing, licking, snoring, clawing, or playing with objects. Dogs seem almost unpredictable in their behavior and are, after all, a natural predator. Dogs are clumsy and lack refined movement, thus causing damage to the environment and overall appearing quite dumb. Dogs are inherently obnoxious in their behavior, be it in terms of movement or noise, especially compared to other animals and pets. Dogs can be massive in terms of strength and speed, thus posing an actual threat to pets, people, or children. They are natural predators and still rely on their instincts after all. Therefore, they can easily hurt people, and there are not any meaningful options to stop them, except for the application of violence, even when violence should not be the last resort or encouraged. Despite extensive training and education, dogs seem especially hard to really keep under control, or the owners are not capable of doing it. These pets can receive a ridiculous amount of training, but still seem very unpredictable when confronted with elements that are new or different. Essentially, dog owners have trouble keeping their dog obedient. Even the best trained dogs require additional commands to keep them in check. Dogs have not a notion of private space or distance. Most dogs rush off and invade the private space of individuals without any restraint, going right into your private areas or jumping on you. The unwanted touches and physical movement is extremely annoying, unpleasant, and insulting. Even if you actively try to undermine such a behavior, they will still try to get your attention in any way possible. Dogs tend to swirl around their owners, or any person for that matter, for most of the time, still needing attention or constantly disturbing you while you are occupied. There are exceptions, of course. Dogs are highly dependent animals which solely rely on their master for nutrition and shelter. Most of the time, dogs are absolutely inept to live on their own. This results in the fact that dogs are simply very needy and require a ridiculous amount of attention. The maintenance and care is extremely demanding. Dogs never truly learn to adopt a more self-preservation approach, thus solely relying on their owner. They never evolve beyond basic commands or behavior. Inability to be alone or to deal with not being the center of attention. Dogs have very limited capabilities, and there are no meaningful ways to interact with dogs, just in very basic and simple ways. In addition, with the two above-mentioned factors, dogs are extremely plain and unintelligent creatures as a whole. Nevertheless, they are being perceived as smart and intelligent. This point will be elaborated upon in another section. They will commit the same mistake again and do not learn from past experiences. The character or personality of a dog is boring. It's just a mindless follower with no real realization or progression. Most dogs can simply be put into a category and stay static for all of their life. For example, obnoxious and hyperactive, lazy and boring, and so on. Dogs are easily manipulated by offering food and thus very shallow. Now, when it comes to dog worship and dog owners, let's have a look at dog culture. Dogs being icons that are synonymous for loyalty, companionship, and trust in Western culture, which is not representative of actual dogs, which are mindless, easily manipulated, and just generally follow the person who offers food and shelter. Dogs being considered as universally good animals that have a high sense of morality and thus cannot be subject to criticism. Equating dogs to humans when it comes to morality, emotions, and cognitive processes. Attributing important roles and duties to dogs, which have more or less become obsolete in our current times, or are simply not applicable in a regular everyday life situation, such as police dogs, avalanche dogs, or hunting dogs. These dogs have a purpose, but a generic household has no need for such a dog, but still equates the family dog to the standard of service animals. The image that dogs have always been man's best friend, which is fairly reductive in terms of thinking and perception. Many animals have been in service for human civilization, but the dog always gets the spot as being loyal and caring. The notion that a dog is the best complement or addition to the image of a happy family. If something is furry, small, or clumsy, it is automatically cute. People immediately give in to dogs which appear cute and overlook everything else due to this fact. We all know the example of Aw, look how cute he looks with his puppy eyes. The concept that dogs are inviolable of responsibility due to their status in society, thus condemning everyone who is neutral or has a dislike for dogs, equating those people to concepts such as evil or bad without any further research. Dogs have an impenetrable, exalted status. Every person who is affiliated with dogs in one way or another is automatically deemed as great, caring, and of higher moral superiority. This is especially applicable when it comes to dogs compared to other animals. All the above mentioned elements lead to a selective perception where the positive traits of dogs are massively blown out of proportion and the negative aspects are simply neglected or downplayed. The sense of entitlement which results from the above mentioned in dog owners or depiction of dogs as a whole. It leads to vilification of people who do not share the same sentiment, even to a casual extent, and causes a lot of conflicts which are not addressed. Dogs have caused tons of conflicts in the past. I made a video called Dogs Are Ruining Our Relationships. Check that out. Many people do fear dogs, and the reasons are fairly valid. Fairly valid? I would say they are extremely valid. Dogs can kill you. Dogs are responsible for 28,000 reconstructive surgeries in the USA alone every year. Of course, it's normal to be afraid of creatures that can disfigure you and kill you unprovoked because they are unpredictable predators. Yet it is reduced to a childish fear with a smirk or is not acknowledged at all. It is a very condescending approach towards people with dog phobias. And I would argue that it isn't even a phobia because a phobia is defined as an irrational fear. Fearing predators that can kill you or your loved ones is not irrational at all. The glorification of dogs in mediums such as movies, books, and social medias. I cannot recount how many absolutely dumb and atrocious short clips I've seen about dogs being adopted and cared for. You don't adopt dogs, by the way, you purchase dogs. Adoption is a word that is reserved for humans only. People go absolutely nuts over these stories, and it's plain dumb. Now, the author looks at dog owners, fur parents, and dog lovers. I would argue that dog owners do not love dogs because just the act of owning a dog is cruel. See my video called Dog Ownership is Cruel. Love is hate, hate is love. Dog owners who adopt dogs, which they neglect right off the bat due to time or financial limits. Owners who adopt dogs which are neglected out of boredom after a while. Owners who adopt a specific breed of dog which are not suited to their lifestyle. Owners who adopt dogs without having any prior knowledge or experience in keeping dogs. Furthermore, people who do not even bother to research about keeping a dog. Owners who adopt dogs as a support animal to treat mental illnesses. Owners who adopt dogs from various third world countries, which can be an extreme liability to the environment and people around. I've always argued that owning a dog is extremely irresponsible in itself. My next video is going to be about how there is no such thing as a responsible dog owner. Owners who adopt dogs, purchase dogs, and completely change their nature by treating them like children or in an overly luxurious fashion. For instance, carrying dogs in bags or giving them clothing, bringing dogs to massage parlors and the like. People are actually pushing dogs around in strollers now. People who attribute the entire spectrum of human emotions and concepts to a dog, essentially talking to dogs like humans and applying human relationships to creatures which have a highly limited capability. Owners who speak for their dogs and how the dog is supposed to feel. Individuals who believe in mystified concepts about dogs that are taken straight out of some nonsensical beliefs, such as dogs smell your fear, dogs can sense your personality, dogs are cleaner than humans, dogs are utterly loyal and love their owner unconditionally, dogs are protectors and guardians. Everyone who equates dogs equally as important as humans and also on the same level. A person who believes that dogs have real rights and are people with full cognitive, moral, and sensible capabilities. Putting dog ownership on the same level as being a real parent, equating the amount of responsibility for both situations. Owners who desperately try to keep their dogs alive despite old age, sickness, or major wounds. At times, putting a dog to rest is a wiser decision instead of clinging on to the life of an animal that is barely capable to live. Owners who prefer to have a sort of slave-master relationship, craving unconditional love from an animal that has limited cognitive processes, knowing that perhaps this animal is the only way to deal with social issues or behavioral problems. Owners with an incredible sense of entitlement and who believe that society should accommodate to the needs of their dogs without really reflecting as to why it might not be correct. Many dog owners have very selfish and narcissistic tendencies, which are reflected on a lot of factors, such as these: not putting dogs on a leash and thinking they can roam wherever they please. Dogs need to be put on a leash and are not suited for every environment. Owners who take their dog with them to every location, even if this is prohibited or unhygienic. Branding people as sociopaths and emotionless for not liking their dogs or dogs in general. Dog lovers who think that the life of their dog is more important than everything and everyone else. Owners expect everyone to like their dogs or perceive it as the best boy compared to others. Prioritizing dog rights over any other sort of right. Owners who center all their discussions around their dogs and dog culture in general. Everyone has been in that situation where a person could just not shut up about their dog, even if it's obvious that you have no interest. The person still thinks that you should display excitement. Owners who have to suddenly rearrange their entire lives around the dog and the expectation that others do the same, such as interior design or schedules. Owners who hijack every discussion or conversation with their dog, trying to impose their pet on everyone else, even if it's not relevant to the situation. This author writes that they follow a group on social media about beautiful landscapes in their home country, and probably half of the submissions are blurry pics of dogs sitting in grass. Owners who create social media accounts of their dogs and seriously think that it would be that interesting to anyone, seeing another generic dog in the same kind of pictures that we have seen a million times. Relationship problems which occur due to a difference in pet preference. I cannot recount how many times I have received negative feedback for expressing my feelings in a polite way regarding dogs. Massive failure to realize that the behavior of a dog may be unsanitary, annoying, or offensive to a person. The fanaticism and sheer will to defend dogs as blindly as possible when a dog is depicted in a negative light. For instance, during dog attacks. Plenty of examples in this subreddit as well. Yeah, everyone, you should check out this subreddit. They now have 28.7 thousand members. That's grown exponentially since the last time I checked this site. We are coming out of the woodwork. Dog haters are making themselves known now, and this movement is growing. It's only going to continue to snowball. I can barely recount how many times I have seen dog owners blaming everything and everyone else instead of the dog who caused damage. Owners who blame every external factor for their own failure or the failure of the dog in case of damage which might have occurred during an incident. Owners who actively downplay, ignore, or laugh about the awful behavior of their dog towards strangers. How many times have people excused the behavior with nonsensical arguments? How many times were you in an awful situation with a dog and was just deemed as funny, cute, or harmless by the owner? Letting dogs run free in parks and public places, thus resulting in dogs annoying everyone. Additionally, this is a major safety hazard when it comes to roads and traffic. The fact that incidents where dogs are harmed, dogs always get a pass for everything, even if that said incident was caused by the dog in the first place. Miscellaneous reasons now. Dogs have been bred and mutated for decades in order to create specific, desirable character traits or look. This is a huge hypocrisy, considering that some dogs are genetically modified to an extent where it is damaging the dog itself, or you get insane, mentally psyched dogs. It is absolutely unnatural and horrible as a general concept and for dogs. There are dog breeds which are inherently more aggressive and violent, as depicted on our chart in this subreddit FAQ thread. I'm going to link you to this post in Reddit Dog Free so you can check out that subreddit for yourself. Breeds such as pit bulls should not be bred nor be accessible for the public. These breeds are a serious threat for people, as seen by the countless incidents. Last night I went and created a whole bunch of playlists on my channel, and I have a playlist called The Truth About Pit Bulls and Their Owners. So all of my videos about pit bulls are included in that playlist, so check that out for information about pit bull type dogs. People are allergic to dogs and can have severe reactions which are harmful for their health. But that does not stop dog people from bringing their dog into every possible public place. They feel they should have the right to bring their dogs into Uber cars, onto airplanes, into grocery stores, into doctors' offices, dentists' offices, you name it. While 15% of the population suffer from an allergy to dogs, they can have severe reactions which can land them in the hospital. People have died from severe asthma attacks triggered by allergies. And do dog people care? No. Dogs wreak havoc upon local ecosystems by hunting animals and destroying plants and wildlife. The dog's mere presence is enough to deter birds from mating and nesting. Dog littering is a serious issue in cities and many other places. This is a worldwide problem. Dog feces can be found anywhere, and it is rare to see a dog owner taking responsibility for it. Many parks are covered in dog feces, and the consequences are minuscule, the author writes. I think that's a mistake. The consequences are huge because dog feces transmits disease. It kills grass. Dog urine kills trees as well as grass. Untreated dog waste is a massive problem. See my video called The Dog Waste Problem. The author writes that they tried to be as concise as possible and did not include too many examples because they probably would never have finished. On a personal note, they write, "I am just tired of it. I had plenty of awful experiences in my life despite having an open mindset and trying to make dogs my friends. Either way, it always resulted in BS that I cannot stand for. Then I get antagonized for disliking dogs. Just sick of this crap." There are 61 comments on this post, so go check it out. I look forward to reading your comments. I would like to know if you can add to this list. I can think of a few things to add. When the author was mentioning how disgusting dogs are and how their saliva gets everywhere, They failed to mention that dog snot gets everywhere as well. And dog owners will think that this is cute when their dog rubs its snot all over the window. They call it nose art. Yet, if a child would do something similar, they would be completely grossed out and say that the child is disgusting. You'll hear dog worshippers talk about snotty nosed brats and how gross they are when they lick their snots, yet their dogs, which they worship, are constantly lapping up their snot. A lot of dog owners, dog people, are very anti child, and that is disgusting. Misopedia is on par with homophobia and misogyny, and we need to call it out when we see it. Also, dogs are a major threat to livestock. Check out my video called Dogs Threaten Livestock. Another valid reason to hate dogs is that they sexually harass and assault us by sniffing our crotches and humping us. No matter what people say, this is sexual harassment and sexual assault. See my video about that. Not only are they assaulting us, they are assaulting our children. There have been reports of dogs raping, and I'm talking about penetrating children. Absolutely sick. Also, dogs transmit diseases to humans. Most healthy dogs have capnocytophaga bacteria in their saliva. This bacteria can infect humans and cause them to lose their limbs and to die. They transmit many zoonotic diseases to us. I'm sure that there are more things to add to this list, so I welcome your comments. Consider joining the subreddit. There are a lot of like-minded people out there, and we are only growing in number as we find the courage to come forth and say how we feel about dogs. I suspect we are the silent majority. Most people are only afraid to speak out because they know the backlash that they will face. But as more and more of us stand up and say what we think about dogs, the more other people are gaining the courage to do the same. And this is gaining momentum, and we are well on our way towards a dog-free future.